Back home, flood-affected regions across Queensland are looking to this year's Royal Commission for answers and lessons for the future. The inquiry this week held private sittings in some of the worst-hit areas in the Lockyer Valley before public hearings begin next month. Francine Norton reports from Grantham.
Wilma and Yen Balkema are grateful to be alive. Now they're telling their remarkable tale of survival publicly for the first time.
She yelled out to me, "Yen, come quickly, there's something terrible going on."
Wilma and Yen Balkema had just woken from an afternoon nap when the wall of water came rushing towards them.
And then 3, 4, 5 cars coming past on the road, and I thought, boy, this is serious stuff now.
After forcing their way through their house, which was rapidly filling with water, the pair tied sheets around each other and made it out the back window. The Balkemas inched along the roof gutter and found a fence to stand on. Hypothermia set in, but they held on, while debris and people swept past them.
So how long were you like that for?
3 hours. We stood here like that.
We lost track of time, but when Yen was able to go back into the house, there was a clock high up on the wall, and it said just after 7 o'clock.
Like this together.
When the waters subsided, they walked for an hour to get help.
When Wilma sat there at one time, "Hurry up, Yen, I can't hold any longer," it went through my head that I'd lose her. Right? One hand had come off the other. So pretty critical, you know, those are the times where you say, you know, we're still here when you come through that.
2 months on, the Balkemas hope the Commission of Inquiry will learn from their experience and the tragedy of the Lockyer Valley. In their submission, they're pushing for a voluntary relocation of the town.
The council gives an opening for them to go somewhere else in the district that is safer and that they can live better than they can here and not in fear anymore. That's what I'm hoping and promoting.
Another long-term resident, Marty Warburton, believes local expertise was wasted in the aftermath of the so-called inland tsunami.
We had some of the best skilled and trained emergency people dropped into our town, and they didn't have any avenue to tap into local knowledge. So for them to be able to perform at their optimum level, I believe that was probably a hindrance to those people.
There are so many issues to be covered in this inquiry in such a short time frame. Each region has a story to tell. Each region has unique challenges it wants addressed in the year ahead. Even here in Grantham, people have different ideas on what the commissioners should investigate. But for most people in this district, an early warning system was the vital missing factor.
My number one thing really was we need an early warning system. That's for one. We need to hopefully get the hydrology reports and look at whether the railway line being a solid wall contributed to the water coming into town.
From the knowledge that we know now, there should be an earlier warning system set up so that people will have a chance to move if something like this should happen again.
No one's joined all the dots together before.
The state member for Lockyer, Ian Rickus, agrees.
And, you know, I think that even relates right back to the Weather Bureau, where some of their systems, they've got to join the dots early. They can't just ignore what's happening and, you know, thinking, gee, someone's getting a lot of rain today. You know, hang on, where's that rain going to go? How are we going to manage this? Is it going to affect something else?
Ian Rickus believes that for too long the community's been more concerned with fire management than flood management, and the Lockyer Valley has paid the price.
But, you know, floods, you know, we live on floodplains here in the Lockyer Valley, so they always are going to be an issue, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you actually look at Grantham, there's about 5 streams taper in from Murphy's Creek and Rockmount, you know, which is probably 30 or 40 kilometres wide. They taper in and all virtually join into the Lockyer Creek at Grantham.
Local federal MP Scott Buchholz doesn't want the Royal Commission to turn into a witch hunt. Even so, there are still lessons to be learnt.
From a constructive perspective, if we were to have this all again, I think we could have had stronger communications between each of those unit groups. I understand the frustrations of the community members with reference to some communications where we had two different stages. We had the police conducting their rescue stage, and then in other parts of the community, they may have been at recovery stage. So each community was at a different stage.
Boys are passing the skids.
We may have been able to probably arrest a lot of the concerns that communities had as a byproduct of not getting quick, sharp, clear, decisive information on a daily basis.
No one is being denied an opportunity to be heard by the Commission. For the witnesses wanting to retell their story, help is at hand. The state government is funding a support service through phone counsellors and staff on the ground in every flood-affected region.
This is such a difficult thing to do for some people, to either put down in words the experience that they went through, which for some people was incredibly hard. For some people it was traumatising, and so to have someone be able to walk you through it, to acknowledge the difficulty of it and explain the bits that you possibly don't understand, that's a big part of it, but also just letting people know that they're important. It's not just about how can we fix this for next time, but it's also about how are you going, what's happening for you.
Some of these people will never have been familiar with the courts process before, so what do you teach them to help them overcome this?
Really just letting them know what's involved. Even something as, seemingly simple as what does the court look like? Where am I going to be sitting? Who's going to be asking me questions? The details that I wouldn't necessarily think of unless I was actually giving the evidence there. So whatever they need from us, we're happy to walk them through it.
For now, the inquiry process seems distant from the day-to-day struggle for residents still trying to get back on their feet. Marty Warburton, the owner of the only service station in Grantham, is still waiting to put petrol back in his pumps. Until then, he's unemployed. He fills his days arranging donated goods for fellow residents.
It's brand new.
That's from...
But Mr. Warburton can't ignore the stark reality of his own situation.
If things don't happen soon, we're getting to the stage where it won't be worth opening back up again. We need a... Local trade was what kept me going. So without my residents and friends and community back together again and roofs over their heads, it's almost not feasible to reopen back up, which is hard to say, and up until today I haven't really made that public, but I've been trying to get the message to the locals that I'm staying, and the last thing they need to see is their businesses leaving town. That'll be so disheartening. So for a community to heal, your community's got to be together, and at the moment we're spread over a 500-kilometre radius.
But for some, like Wilma and Yen Balkamer, the memory of the 10th of January is simply too much.
Do you intend coming back here?
No, we don't intend to come back here, no. We think that if it happened once, it can happen again. Maybe not soon, but who knows?
Lives may be lost, but they should never be forgotten.
Make a memorial park out of this one for a commemoration for people, children and grandchildren, say that's where Mum and Dad lived and they survived, or they died.
Francine Norton with that story.